Hey guys, welcome to the second episode in the Road to the World Cup Series 2054 with England. And this is the second episode of the season review or the year review for 2053. So we are just now approaching the World Cup. And let's cut to the chase straight away. As you can see up here, fourth in World Cup Group E, we have qualified. It really was not very difficult. I mean, I don't understand or know how we were in the group we were, the qualifying group. With the likes of Faroe Islands, Finland. I think isn't that a derby anyway? Kazakhstan, Russia were the only team that really, and Armenia. Russia were the only team who provided any sort of threat, and as you'll see later on, even their threat was rather minute. So what we're going to do is go over the year then. How did we got on? And we are continuing then to be undefeated, which is another good bonus. But because this is actually a really good team. As you can see, if you just glance over there, I think you may also have figured out that our goal-scoring problems, I say problems, in air quotes there, but our problems may have actually been sorted. We have won all games except one, and let's go on to it then. So we started the year with a friendly against Israel at Wembley, because of course we are certainly not going to Jerusalem, provided Israel will still be a state by 2053. It hasn't been bombed to all hell by everyone else in the Middle East. But these were the two goal scorers, and we had Smith and Sweeney. Now, I can't recall if I've introduced you to every single one of these players, as new players are constantly coming in and coming and going. I think Carl Reynolds, for example, he got injured last season. At the start of this year. And of course, he had a good start for his England career, but he's not really been able to force his way back into the team. So what we see is players like this guy here, Dave Smith, coming in, £9 million, West Bromwich Albion, as you can see, 8 appearances, 10 goals. I think that kind of says it all, really. But I think a lot of them goals came in another game, which I'm figure out which game that was. No, but we'll get on to that in a moment. But this 4-0 here, we've also got young Gareth Sweeney here. I think I may have introduced him to him last time. He currently plays for Manchester United now. He was at Chelsea, if I recall. He was at Chelsea and then Man United signed him, and I know the chances of that happening are very slim, but in real life. But this basically was the game here. Really, it wasn't easy as such. I mean, I think I may have actually no, I played all games. I played all of these. I usually just sim friendlies, but when the amount of football that you do is sparse enough as it is, generally you tend to look forward to friendlies. It's just when you're at a club and pre-season friendlies is the one I skip. It's because I want to get into the real stuff, not wait around for crap pre-season friendlies. But the friendlies here, it was an opportunity for me to see which players come through, and see who still has it and stuff. At this point as well, Craig Cooley, I think he had just signed for a new team. Actually, let me just check. Where are we up to with this? We'll check in a minute. See where he is, because he does move later on. I just want to point out he is now getting on a bit, shall we say, and he obviously is not going to be sticking around with Barcelona too often, as he obviously his wage demands for his age are not going to be ideal, shall we say. But as you can see, 2-0. I mean, the stats really went all in our favour, and they really offered nothing Israel. I think the ranked, I don't know, like 60 something in the world, maybe a bit higher, and this was pre-arranged. This was not I didn't arrange this. The only friendlies that I arrange are the ones before the World Cup. So I had nothing to do with this. I just played whatever the game threw at me, and obviously that includes the group stages as well. But so this again was an opportunity for me to check out a few players, but also because it was I wanted the winning start to the year, or the season, if you will. I don't know whether it counts as a year or season, but these two, a lovely take there from Sweeney. At this point, bear in mind he was still at Chelsea, and he was still coming through the ranks. But no, he looked very good. Next, we had two away games. The big two, just one in March, which was 3-0 here against Kazakhstan. Look, just the name, Central. That's just the name of the stadium. I don't know. But we had 3-0 here. Again, not the most difficult games. They offered a little bit, I guess. I mean, they had two chances, you can see, on target, but really we dominated the game. I mean, at the time I thought 3-0, okay. That's okay, it's not great, not absolutely amazing. Really we should be beating Kazakhstan maybe 4, 5, 6, 7-0. But 3-0 at the time, and I think I may have even said to them, take a breather, to be honest, because maybe at like That was the goals. Yeah, look at that. Look how quickly the goals came in down here. The blue bar. Guy Sheridan playing with a crossed ball in, and there's Dennis Wright, of course, the great Chelsea striker who pretty much tops the Premier League goal scoring chart every chance he gets. This was 2-0. This is Gibbons, now a player who I originally didn't have in my original very first team against Austria, but he's come in and done a very, very good job. And he's pretty much settled as now one of the lead centre-backs. And as you can see here, it's going to be the third goal any second now. Sweeney, nice little run here. And there's Dave Smith coming in. He's proved to be a great addition. And, 10 minutes in and we're 3-0 up. And I think, honestly, after about half an hour, I said, take a breather. That kind of says it all, really. We were finished after 10 minutes. This game was just dead and over. And then the big one, the World Cup qualifying, basically, whoever qualified hinged on this game. And due to the fact, of course, we struggled in the first game at Wembley, but we had no issues here whatsoever. 3-0 victory over Russia, in Russia. Stevie Lane got sent off at the end, which was a stupid thing to do. But I played the full strength team here. Craig Coolidge, you can see, it is. I'll check, where is he now? Yeah, he's at Losk Lille. Or just Lille. Yeah, pleased to have joined Lille. When did he join? Well, he's only recently joined. That's right. It's because we're sort of in a crossover of 2 seasons. It sort of confuses me in a way. Basically, what happened with Cooley, despite the fact he's still the England captain, just to point out, Barcelona let him go. So that's like a 15-something year stay at Barcelona over. And he was a free agent until about November. And he was basically playing he was playing games still without any match fitness, without a club, as England captain. I don't think that's ever happened before. It was strange, but as you can see here, Russia basically. Honestly, them stats are quite deceiving. I don't really recall Russia having too many opportunities. I think they may have had 2, 3 at a push. Certainly, big chances. But here, this was very odd. At the time I was appealing, I was like, that's out. That's gone out of play. Oh. Okay, I'll take that. I don't know what Smith was doing there. I personally thought that went out of play, but if you want to rewind that back, you'll find actually it didn't. And the 2D match engine is very it's sort of you sort of miss it a bit because he sort of played it down. It didn't actually go out. I pushed it into the 3D match engine, and it actually turns out that it didn't go out. It never even came close to going out. So make of that what you will. I know it probably didn't go out there either, but at certain angles it looked like it did, at other angles it didn't. But Fowler there basically just ran them off there, and we were just more lethal finishing at the end of the day. That kind of says really. This guy here, Vladimir Pugachev, big big player. So he plays for Barcelona, good player. Didn't turn up at the end of the day, and that basically ruined the rest of Russia's chances. So really, from this point on, we were set. We just had to make sure, we didn't fall over any banana skins. Then the only non-win of the year, which was against Mexico, Dave Smith scoring again. So as you can see, this guy is really a good player. This was an opportunity. I basically played pretty much a rotated team here. As you can see, I only made the one change. In fact, you know what? I think I may have even simmed this one. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did sim this one. That's why we didn't win. No, but this is just a friendly. I came off a high of beating Russia, and then all of a sudden it's like we're just going to play this shitty game. Then it didn't matter. So I was like, oh, sod this. I want to get on with it now. I want to actually get to the World Cup now, because the only games we had to play there were against Finland, Armenia, Faroe Islands, Kazakhstan, and Slovenia at the end there. But it was really easy. Just to say it clearly, and as you can see, the results later on prove that. So I guess I'll show you these goals. But as I say, I did instant result this one. If you do find that offensive or something, then quite frankly, I don't give a shit. This was a pointless friendly. I'm sure you've simmed a friendly once in your life. Don't get mad at me for simming one fucking game, please. Because I know people take very offence to it's like, that's not how you play Football Manager, you meant to do it properly, things like that. But they took the lead here inside 2 minutes. I did view these goals afterwards, but I've absolutely forgotten them. Mexico are not the team they once were, with the likes of the 2 Mondragons or Mondragons, I don't know how you pronounce their names, of course, who one played for Real Madrid, and I think another one played for the very good, actually, Mexican Pumas team, I think. Could be wrong, but yeah, they're obviously them two. I'm gonna say they were brothers. They weren't officially brothers, but they that was a great finish there from Smith. They were a very good team, but they have since sort of fallen off the radar a bit. Not the greatest goalkeeping there. I think from I think it's Gavin Spencer, the backup goalkeeper, gave up an opportunity. Man City goalkeeper, good goalkeeper, quite young though, so he's certainly got 10 years left in him. Probably going to get a chance at maybe a couple more World Cups. But a lovely again taken finish there from Dave Smith, and that is the equaliser. So we managed to finish up at 2-2. Not the worst result in the world, but if we look at Mexico, ranked 19th, not quite the dominant force they once were. They were pushing in for top 10 places at one point. The one that really scared the living shit out of us when we were in the United States. But now they've slipped down, but they're still a decent team. So they're a team you probably want to avoid in the World Cup still. But you wouldn't be too disappointed if you got them at the same time. Then a fantastic game against Turkey next, again at Wembley. For some reason we do display a lot of that great British xenophobia by not travelling for friendlies. This is a superb game against Turkey. I'm just going to show you the highlights in order because I don't really try not to put everything in order. This was another opportunity again for me to just try a few players. In fact, before I do show you the highlights, I'm going to show you the formations and just an idea of how we land up and so on. This again, I'm using the same formation, but certain players that you may not be familiar with. This is a guy called Callum Richards. He's only young. He currently plays for Ipswich. He probably will be on the move though very soon. Ipswich now, I think I may have mentioned this in the previous video, but Ipswich now are an established Premier League team. They're not a brilliant Premier League team by any means, but they are now sort of lower mid-table established team, sort of a bit like Stoke are at the moment. Admittedly, they nearly got relegated last season, but if you just ignore the last season gone, you know what I mean when I say the like Stoke, and I don't mean the long ball hackers or anything. I mean literally established from the Championship over a longer period of time, and now are seen as a Premier League team probably. And the last one here, I think the rest are all. Oh, and there's Freddie Clark. You may remember this guy from Tottenham. He's come on very well. I knew he was going to come on well because he stood out for me brilliantly at Tottenham, and I'm really glad to be able to use him as an England goalkeeper now, because I knew he'd play for England. I think he even said it in a video. Then we have this Danish lad. He's Danish, but he's played for England. That just totally confused me. I was like, oh shit, I'm cheating at the game. How have I done that? No, but I don't know why that hasn't changed to English yet. I think it's because he hasn't played a competitive game. I think friendlies aren't technically competitive. I mean, I realise every game counts. Every game counts towards a cap for a player. But not an official proper game, and he can speak a hell of a lot of language as well. But yeah, that scared me. Then I was like, oh shit, what have I done? This guy. So his name is Thesleth Nielsen, wonderfully English name, obviously. Nottingham Forest. He was brought in by Joe Thompson, early on, and that's the telephone. I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. Silent calls, typical. And no, I'm not going to edit this out because I say you deserve every little bit I do, and this is what you're going to see. So yeah, back to this player, this Danish lad playing for England. He was signed by Joe Thompson, I think, or the new manager. I think they may have a new manager now. I think Thompson may have retired. He was getting on a bit, and he looks like a good player. So I thought, the players and the fans and everyone else were clamouring for him. Incidentally, if we are going to take over a national team, I would avoid reading the news, to be honest, because the media and everything else in between just talks a load of old shit. It's like it'll say, I had a great one I posted on Twitter the other day, well, probably a few weeks ago if you're watching this now, but obviously the date, if you go on my Twitter and in the description, scroll through, you'll probably see a picture I posted. I just sort of like FM is stupid or something, and it's a picture, and it was basically remember Matty Canavan from Tottenham? He basically, or whatever he was called, he had said in one of the news descriptions, it says, England call-up unlikely for Canavan. And usually when it says that, it's because he's out of form. Basically what that means is, the headline means he's out of form, he doesn't deserve an England call-up. Literally the next fucking news item is, ex-player beats Canavan to England call-up, and the article's like, Jubba's coming for some criticism because he has not called up in form Matty Canavan. It's like, what the fuck? It's so, honestly, the media on this game, in terms of, reporting players, is so stupid. And I think there is and I genuinely think there is no way that you cannot avoid being criticised by the media for your selections, it's always going to have a go at you no matter who you pick. It'll say, why didn't you pick this player? But why didn't you pick this player? But why didn't you pick that player? Even though he's out of form and hasn't fucking scored for 2 years and he's meant to be one of the best strikers in England. It'll still do something like that. You could probably, hang on, I'll just play these goals. Sorry, I'm probably waffling on, sorry. It'd be like, you could probably, if anyone's seen, well, you probably have seen the film, Mike Bassett, England manager. And yes, I did watch that film when I was playing this, or at least was listening to it. It's the full movie's on YouTube. I'd recommend you watch it. It's British. If you're not British, it is absolutely, honestly, it's British humour at its very, very best. And also Ricky Tomlinson, who has an accent similar to mine. Well, but I don't think he is from Liverpool. Actually, he's from the surrounding areas. We have a similar accent, so basically, it's also, you can go from watching me, an angry Scouser shouting at a football game, to watching an angry sort of Scouser or plastic Scouser shouting at a football game. So yeah, it's very similar. I base my comedy on Ricky Tomlinson and Shelby Say and Mike Bassett. No, you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm waffling. Lovely game. Sorry, really good game here. This was right before half time. A bit of a kick to the teeth. That one, didn't enjoy that one very much. But as I say, this was a practice thing to let me see, certain players like Callum Richards here, Letha Nielsen. This was Darlington. Remember him now. He again, I pointed out last time, but he's at Liverpool. Very good player now. Didn't see a real great deal in him when he's at Tottenham. Maybe just because I wasn't giving him a chance, and it probably was. But this again, he kept coming back and back and back. And I thought the game was being a bit harsh on Richards there. I mean, okay, yeah, he did give the ball away, but, there's no way he could have anticipated the goal there. And I think that was 3-3, I think, at that point. Yeah, 3-3. And, we just let that lead slip, and I thought, oh, here we go, we're on to another team who can't keep the fucking leads. But then I made a change, and here's Mick Roberts, and gives it to Nigel French, who buries that with 8 to 9 minutes to go. And then this really was the icing on the cake, so to speak here, just this little flourish here in the last 5 minutes. This finished them off. Gus Baird for Man City playing into Roberts, and then there's Callum Richards, unlucky not to score what Gus Baird did. I can't take that seriously. Gustavo Baird, doesn't sound right at all, does it? So yeah, good game. Next one. Was against Finland, so another 1-0 win against Finland. I realise not ideal, and Finland, as I say, aren't that great a team, but we really should have had more. I don't understand how the goalkeeper got a 6.5, because he certainly deserved at least a 7.5. He kept out so many shots. The only thing I would say is, and I was wondering if anyone knew how to do this, and there's no point in telling me now because I'm way ahead of you. I'm doing the World Cup videos literally after recording this video, so there's no point in telling me. There's Sweden's rank, by the way. You can get an idea of how poor they are at the moment. One thing I'm noticing is a lot of the players don't seem to be able to put power into the shots. This is very specific now. We're getting into very sort of specific things, and things you might not expect to notice or realise or even know out of the box. But it's like a lot of the players tend to do a lot of weak headers, a lot of weak shots, but more so than usual. It's not like it's just a thing they do occasionally. Occasionally a player isn't going to catch the ball right. He's not going to get the shot away. But there are times where it'll be the whole game where it's literally everything's weak. The shots are weak, the headers are weak, the passes are weak. Everything has no power or just conviction on it. So I don't know, I might ask that on Twitter. I don't know what it is I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's something in the tactics. Maybe I just need to say something else. Maybe I think one of the things I'm thinking is maybe it's because I've got the more expressive thing on with the what is actually, I forgot the tactic. Oh, let me have a look. So this is currently how I'm doing it. Yeah, the creative freedom is currently more expressive. And this is currently the tactic. As I say, I tweak it, so I've got the right formation. But I tweak it for every team I go to. So, for example, the Celtic one is that. But I usually try to play wide for every team. And obviously I'll come back to this in a minute. But generally I like to play quick. Again, that's only if you're a good team. Generally, I'll just leave it normal, or maybe just push it up by one if I'm just like a Nottingham Forest or something. Generally, I just leave these. I find these most of the time don't they do work. It's just I've not really had much success with them, so I just leave them. I started to change things. This was when I really started to change things with this next Armenia game. I thought, right, I'm going to really calm down on this now. More roaming, drill the crosses, man marking, press more, because I found that often that the players would stand off, and I was but not just normally. A lot, they would stand off a lot, and it's like, come on, get in there, So I thought press more, and I knew I could get away with it because the quality of opposition wasn't great. So I knew I could definitely say for certainty we can be more expressive with freedom and we can press more, because I knew the quality of opposition we're playing is not that great yet. Finland, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Faroe Islands, not great teams. And this will now be shown in the rest of the fixtures here, as we beat Armenia 5-0. So whilst obviously you could say this was a return to form in a way of, oh dear, goal scoring problems. Again, we didn't really break a sweat. We got the one goal, that's all we needed at the end of the day. I wasn't going to press them and say, get 6, This is Armenia, so I think they're even worse than Finland, and I think the quality difference here showed, as Dennis Wright got 2, and I played pretty much a full strength team. Due to the fact that I knew they could score loads of goals, and Armenia were probably the second, and this is how crap the group is. The team ranked 110th in the world, with the exception, obviously, if you exclude yourself, obviously, where the second toughest team in the group, behind Russia. Obviously, that excludes yourself. But Gibbons again from corner, he's very useful from corners. He has had numerous. He could have about 20 goals, to be honest, for England. Now I think he's only got like 2 or 3, but he has so many chances from corners. I think I probably need to tweak him a bit more. But yeah, it was this game that I tweaked the tactic a bit, and as you can see, it's starting to pay a bit more now. In fact, it may have even been a bit earlier. But I tweaked it once for the start of the year, and then I tweaked it again. I think I added the more expressive tactic. I think I did. But so I just sort of kept tweaking it over time. And yeah, that's what I advise. If you are gonna download the tactic, I personally don't see the point in downloading tactics. I think one of the fun of FM is creating a tactic. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong. Because I can't stand people who say there is one way of there's one way and only one way of playing FM. No, there's a million ways of playing FM. If you want to sim all your games, do it if you want. If you want to build your own tactic, if you want to download tactic, if you want to have some wacky skin in Chinese or something, then go ahead. There's no one way of playing FM, and I'm not going to criticise you for that, because I despise people who say you can only play one way in FM, and that's build your manager up from the bottom in the Blue Square South, or even for some people that's not the Blue Square South's too high. You've got to be able to play. And obviously, I'm taking the English example here. But you've got to start at the very, 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 very bottom in like the West Midlands County Leagues or something. Now, moving on to this game. Where to begin? Right, this, I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is my biggest win ever on Football Manager. Ever. Don't think I've ever had a victory bigger than this. The only time where I may have had a bigger victory is if I cheated. Like in the past, I was like 5 or whatever. Or 15 or something. When I was, when you're just playing it like stupid, you assemble all the best players in the world and you play against, I don't know, Peterborough or something, and, you batter them. This was just unbelievable. I was egging them on. We were attacking, we were pushed higher up, everything. Nigel French, 5 goals. Dave Smith, 4 goals. 1 goal for Richard Darlington, 1 goal for Gareth Sweeney, 1 goal for Adam Darby, 1 goal for Leon Fowler. 45 shots, 23 on target. Faroe Islands, 1 shot, 13-0. 68% possession. Right, so you're probably wondering, okay, what the fuck? How have you done that? Obviously, adds to the fact that this England team is very good, and adds to the fact that the Faroe Island team is very bad. Let's see, where are they ranked currently? They're 89. Well, to be fair, they're ranked higher than Armenia. Actually, let's see, where have they... Look at that, yeah, they sort of jump up and down. It's sort of like the typical minnow nation. They sort of, in FM, they go up for a bit, and then they'll sink back down, and they'll just go up a bit again. It's like, oh wow, look how high they are, a bit, admittedly, it's a bit, condescending, but it's still, fair play. But the reason I was able to do this, and I'm going to look at this as what I mean when I say I'm going to come back to the tactic, look how much width they had. None. Literally, they had no width. I was like, I've got two players here. I've got Smith, who's in great form, and Richards, who has loads of pace, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he's got 17 pace, 17 acceleration. Okay, he's not, lightning, but he's still decent. And obviously I had two wing backs as well. So I saw this and was like, right, okay, what I'm going to do is this. Just go on my tactics here. Basically, I think I did that. I think I did this and that. It really was as simple as that. And I also said exploit the flanks and play wider. So I don't think I said play wider. I just said exploit the flanks. So basically, we had all this width, and the Faroes were just consigned to that little midfield bit here. And it really was as simple. It doesn't take a genius to work it out. I'm sure if you were in the same position, you would have just gone, oh, look at that. They've got no width. I'm going to exploit the width. It's not difficult. Now, this will be, I'm sure, a record for the longest highlight reel in Football Manager, obviously excluding cheaters. But this was, I think, 120 seconds in. French header, bang, 1-0 straight away. And as soon as that went, I'm thinking, here we go, this is going to be double figures, and I was right. I don't think I've ever got to double figures before. I've seen teams get to double figures. I think the biggest example of that I've seen was in the FA Cup. About 2 or 3 years before I went to Liverpool, they beat Truro, who are a team, I think, in the Blue Square South, 11-0. I think Barry Wallace got 4. That was, right when he was like 22 or something. And as you can see, 4:20, it is 2-0. And then Nigel French, 6.5 minutes, hat-trick. I actually checked. I actually had to check. I know I'm incredibly sad, but I had to check who had the fastest England hat-trick ever. And it's a guy, oh God, I forgot his name. He's called Willie or something. Not surname, his first name was Willie. And he scored it in, I think, 4 minutes and... Oh, honestly, I think about 3.5 minutes, actually. I think if I recall, it was about 3.5 minutes against Ireland in 1882. And I think that stands as one of the fastest hat-tricks of all time ever. So, yeah, the second fastest England hat-trick. Provided, obviously, there's been plenty of football in this game, so provided someone else hasn't done it earlier, but I sincerely doubt that because, that is an incredible feat and it's very, very rare. But, I don't even know what the score is at this point. I'm losing count straight away. I mean, that just kind of summed it up. But what a finish that was from the young man Sweeney. I think that was, let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is now the 8th goal, so it's 7-0 after 40 minutes. Actually, it's so easy, isn't it? Hat-trick, there's a hat-trick for Smith. So we had 2 hat-tricks in the first half. And as you can see, look how wide we're playing. Okay, here, this was a goal for Derby. That was Derby's goal. But, I'm sure you could see the amount of width there was there. You look how many crosses we're getting put in. Look, again, we're out wide here. I mean, okay, it was a throw-in, but, the reason we were there in the first place was through width. And I'm sure, you can see in the previous goals, the amount of width we had. So I'm sure French will play. Is he going to... Oh, yeah, he just took this on and just... Look, where's the challenge? There literally was no challenge. So I think I took Smith off and I thought, right, I'm going to give Leon Fowler 15 minutes. I think I brought Cooley on as well. Because at this point, he definitely had no club. And he needed match fitness. So I thought, what's a great time to get match fitness. So Smith got his 4th. And I was just about to take him off at this point. So that's 10 goals and 8 appearances for him. That was 12. And here's Fowler coming on now. He's just come on now. He got number 13. I know you might think, oh Christ, that's unlucky. I know, I just realised that now actually. Unlucky number 13. I don't believe in all that bullshit though, so don't worry. 30 goals for England for Leon Fowler. And then finally, 4-0 against Kazakhstan. Johnny Corrigan, Richard Darlington, Nigel French and Gareth Sweeney all chipping in there. Now, you may have noticed one thing, or you may recall one thing I said last time, and that was, of course, we have not conceded a goal. We didn't concede a goal last year in the qualifiers, and if you look closely, we haven't conceded the goal in this year's qualifiers. And that is actually what ended up happening. We went through an entire qualifying campaign without conceding a goal. The only team in the European zone to do that. I know teams have done that before. I recall, I think Germany did it. I think it was Germany. It might have been France. But I'm pretty sure it was Germany who did it. Kazakhstan gave us a fright in this game, though. I tell you what, we were obviously going to win, but it was more to the point of I want to keep a clean sheet record. You know, I want to not concede the goal. They hit the post at one point, and I was really bricking myself. I was like, no, we are not gonna concede now in the last game. It's not happening. But yeah, as you can see, this was a walkover. I mean, you know, we offered nothing. Kazakhstan offered nothing in this game, just like they did at home, or their home. And Johnny Corrigan here with his nice pace and nice trickery. As you can see, you know, they're being a bit more expressive. Usually, you can tell if a player's being more expressive. He sort of tiptoes his way through. You know, if he sort of slowly. I assume that's them doing step overs because, to be honest, I can't quite tell. Sort of Pele, Ronaldo style step overs. But a nice finish there from Corrigan, and that was the icing on the cake. As we ran through the whole qualifying campaign without conceding a goal. And there is Group 4. 10 played, won 9, drawn 1, 33 scored, conceded 0. Yeah, I can't believe I've done that. Russia also qualified through their little qualifying place thing, whatever it's called. They had the playoffs, that's what they call it. I couldn't think of the word. Playoffs. Who else qualified? Well, Ukraine, France, Portugal, Croatia, Turkey, Serbia, Sweden, Germany, Northern Ireland, ahead of Scotland. Scotland actually are quite good. That's a bit of a kick to the teeth for them. Czech Republic, Denmark, Belgium, Ireland, Holland, and Wales. So no Austria, who were, of course, the surprise package in the European Championship last season. And lastly here, we just have 2 goals for Harrison McDonnell, who we'll get on to in a moment, 2 against Slovenia in our last yearly friendly thing. I played a rotated team and I arrested a lot of players. I'll introduce you to 1 or 2. I think this guy is in the World Cup team. He's a Man United player. He's 26 years old. Good player. 1 app, 2 goals. Looks good. Plays for Manchester United. Another attacking option. Who else do we have? We also had the Newcastle player called Liam Frost. Again, good centre midfielder. May remember Roy Garnett. Jack Holzman, who is injured unfortunately. Or will be injured, I believe, so he's out of form or something. Also got Guy Bowles, I don't know. I think it's just Bowles, isn't it? Right back, but I think we're okay for wing backs at the moment. And yeah, and Tom Bastow is the last one here. Again, I'm not sure how many of these actually do get to the World Cup squad, but we'll have to see. So, I was going to do the World Cup draw on camera, but I just felt it would have been awkward. I don't like doing draws live on camera. I've decided not to do them anymore. So we'll have a look at our group and then we'll have a look at the rest. So who are we going to be drawn against then? Who will be playing? Well, Belgium, Mexico and Chile. I did say I want to avoid Mexico, but we ended up getting them, and I knew that was always going to happen. The holders are France. We were seeded first, so we couldn't get drawn against them, as obviously they were seeded first. And the host is going to be in Spain. So what I've done is I've made a slight. So if you're wondering why there's a ball on fire in the thumbnail, that's because I've tried to replicate rather poorly, I'll admit. But I know I'm not very good when it comes to graphic design. I was terrible at it at GCSE level. So basically what I've done is I've tried to replicate the España 82 logo, when they hosted the World Cup back in 1982. I decided to do it sort of here for España 54. So yeah, Belgium, Mexico and Chile. Belgium, who were good, very, 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 very good actually. I've slightly slipped down the rankings as of, a few years ago. We're going to be playing them first up in Nou Camp. I think that's like one of the first, actually I think it's one of the first games. This is how they currently stand. So 18th and 19th Mexico. I'm not quite sure where Chile are. Let's find out where they are. You can obviously look for your club Look for your country as well. Where are Chile? Good, they're a little bit lower. They're very low. No, I think we may have gone past them. Surely not. No, they're not that low. Probably have gone past them. There they are. Oh god, yeah. I was going to say 27th. Not bad. not bad. All winnable games. Belgium, incidentally, are previous winners of the World Cup, I think, if I recall. Let's see. History, past winners. Yeah, they won it twice, sort of very similar to Spain, who probably are going to win the next World Cup as well. Then Belgium did the double, which, as you'd expect, they are coming into that golden generation. Very happy with the signing, incidentally. If you're wondering, Arsenal on Mignolet. I can't see Pepe Reina staying. I don't understand why he would want to stay. He's not going to play second fiddle to him, but I'm very happy that we've got him. He's a top keeper, and I'm very happy to just have a player from this golden generation of Belgian football in our Liverpool team. So I'm happy with that. As you can see, England obviously finishing runners up last year. In Canada, typical, they had to still just choke as they do every time. But Spain again, as you can see, when Germany won it in 38, Croatia with the surprise packages in Mexico in 26. And then Italy won it back again in 2042. But I think the record is held by Brazil still at 5. Although Spain are one away from that record. So if we look at the rest of the groups then, we've got France, Peru, Korea, and South Korea and Holland. Russia, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, and Germany. See what I mean? We could have played some of these teams. Spain, Nigeria, Qatar, and Paraguay. Honduras, Denmark, Brazil, and Portugal. It's a derby, I suppose, that isn't it, in a way. Morocco, Serbia, Argentina, and USA. Senegal, Croatia, Australia, and the Czech Republic. And China, Turkey, Ukraine, and Mali. Mali were a first seed. That's because they're ranked 7th. I don't understand how they managed to get first seed. They're high up, but yeah, apparently they're quite good. Well, they do have a lot of players playing top football for them. So, in the end, a good performance for our European qualifying group. And these are the friendlies. So we're going to be playing Morocco, Egypt, and Qatar. I will go over these results very quickly. I'm probably going to ramble as I do at the start of the video. We're going to have a weird intro for the World Cup games. So we've got Belgium, Chile, Mexico. That's going to be at the Nou Camp, in the Thornton Arena, obviously otherwise known as the new Santiago Bernabeu, and Nueva Mestalla, the Mestalla home of Valencia. So they'll be really, really good. If you're wondering about the Premier League, this is how it currently looks as of December 53. Arsenal lead the way, however Tottenham have 2 games in hand. Leeds United are back in there. They have grown from the Championship. You know, they've all of a sudden they've come back up. So we've also got Barnet in the Premier League. Manchester City, I think the Sheikhs have got rid of their money and pulled out, basically. They have slipped away, and City are struggling badly. They are genuine relegation fodder at the moment. Forest are not, well, in fairness, Forest have got a few games in hand on people, so let's not jump to their conclusions yet. See, Ipswich Brighton have fallen down a bit. Don't know what's happened there. But Leeds have popped back up. Past winners, basically I think I may have gone over this in the last video, but Chelsea in 52 and then Arsenal won it again 53. So we're seeing a slight southern dominance of the league now. Last northern winners were Man City in 46, and even then the last northern winners before Man City were 2039. Manchester United, Liverpool are slipping away. Again, obviously they have not been able to recapture the form that I got with them. Although they are not far away. Actually, no, they are far away. They are far away. They're miles behind Arsenal. If you want to know managers very quickly, Marcus Weiser, he's still going as Arsenal manager. The Tottenham manager now is the former Arsenal manager, the guy who looks like a thumb, Sarev. Liverpool manager is Lopez. He's finally come home. The Leeds manager is a guy called Robbie Walsh, I saw him before. The Manchester United manager is a guy called Lee Braxton, I've never heard of. There's David Morgan, he's now the captain of the United States, as well as Man United. Chris Sheehan, former Liverpool manager at Chelsea, West Brom. Again, you're probably not going to recognise some of these names. The Manchester City manager at the moment is Antonello, whatever. Championship, this is how that looks. Kettering are in there. Again, they got relegated, but they're back in it. Bradford are in there. Coventry, Bolton, first time I've seen them in a while. AFC Wimbledon, look at that, are in there. Then League One, Sunderland, Watford, Everton, who actually got relegated at one point to League Two. Yep, they got promoted. Yep, they are that bad. Oh, they've got a Welsh manager, what a surprise. Birmingham are back in there. League Two, this is how that looks. Rotherham, Sutton United, God. Reading are down there. Middlesbrough, Portsmouth. Yeah, that's how that looks. The Conference Premier. And lastly, the Blue Square Bets. North. Tranmere have slipped down a long way. France, Lyon and Paris Saint-Germain, as you were. Stade Rennais sort of trying to get in there. And La Liga, as you were, still. Champions League, Tottenham won last season against Paris Saint-Germain, so they are the current holders. That's their second European Cup. We've got, so Real Madrid obviously won it previous season, I think I went over that, and Tottenham managed to beat PSG, so still no European Cup for PSG. They've been to 3 finals and lost them all. God, they're starting to be worse than me now, aren't they? Have they won a European Cup? I don't think they have. No, they haven't. So yeah, that is basically the state of the game. So I will be back then with the World Cup series. It's going to be the first game against Belgium. We'll quickly go over these pre-tournament friendlies, and I will be back then. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to download this, incidentally, if you do want to download the game, it's in the description. Play along and play the World Cup with me. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.